Good evening, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel there is out there. Now, tonight we are doing our Tuesday night live show, and well, let's just say we're doing some interesting things due to some technical difficulties, but we are going to get through it. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We appreciate everyone that has joined us here this evening. We know you have lots of things you can do. And so we are trying to do everything we can to make sure it is worth your time. Now, obviously, today, October 19th, lots of stuff going on. Yes, we have the Brian Laundrie story, but really, let's face it, that one's kind of dying down because, well, he's gone. He's not around or he's dead. But the reality of it is nobody knows. And we're just going to have to wait and see. There's no doubt about that. Then we got Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. That is always going to be a good thing to talk about because it's never going to end. As long as Lori Vallow is in the state hospital trying to be restored to competency, there's always going to be something to talk about. And we have been putting up a lot of the documents and audio and video recordings from the Chandler Police Department regarding the death of Charles Vallow. And I mean, you listen to that stuff and you just think, this is crazy. There's just so many red flags that go off, but it's all about proof. It's all about matters of proof. And then obviously the big story that's kind of breaking right now, and I am sure that I am going to mispronounce it because, I get beat up pretty good if I mispronounce a name. People will tell me, Scott, you're an idiot. How dare you mispronounce it? And then we have this Larry Millietti. I've heard it pronounced about 4 different ways. And then May, which is spelled Maya, M-A-Y-A, but she goes by Mai. Larry was arrested some 9 months now after his wife went missing, where basically his story is she left me. Last thing they really know is that she was looking to get a divorce, and she went missing. Now, and I certainly don't want to say anything that's going to get me in trouble with anyone, because if I say something about a case, Scott, how dare you counsel these people on how to get, away with murder? Well, first of all, I can't do that. Okay. But I mean, let's face it, people. I mean, the people that are accused or have, killed a spouse, whether it's male or female, I mean, are they that arrogant that they think that no one's going to notice that their spouse is missing? I just don't get it. Right. Oh yeah, she just left. Well, that's funny. All her, credit cards are turned off. Her car keys are still here. Her car's here. Oh, and not to mention her, children are here. Oh, but she just must have left. That's it. I mean, does anybody think that story is really going to, fly? I really don't get it. But yet, every time you hear about a case where a spouse goes missing, and let's face it, it's predominantly the wife goes missing, the husband has some ridiculous story, and you just think, do you really think somebody's gonna, this story's gonna fly? It makes complete sense. No, it doesn't. So this Larry guy, he gets arrested today. I guess they're going to add some additional charges, being accused of killing your wife wasn't serious enough. They're going to charge him with, a missing .40 caliber handgun that apparently he had purchased and can't find, because you lose those all the time. Right. And then he apparently had an assault weapon that he didn't register or have properly paperwork on it in the state of California. who knows in California? I mean, uh, I've never purchased a firearm in California, but I've heard horror stories about it, that it's very difficult to get anything, the restrictions and paperwork. I don't think you can actually purchase it unless you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You fill out a ton of paperwork. So Larry and his wife May, we're gonna have to wait and see. Probably have to wait and see until his attorney pronounces his name correctly in court, and then we'll get it hammered out on there because we don't want to offend anybody whatsoever about the pronunciations of names. I just had somebody today that said, "You better research how you pronounce the name of Alec Murdaugh." Well, okay, yeah, we have, and it's called Murdoch. We went straight to the source. We went straight to people that live in South Carolina in that area and said, "Oh yeah, it's pronounced Murdoch." Um, really, I do. We try to get it right. We really, really do. So, all right, let's see who we have. A lot of people here this evening already. That's great. Want to thank everybody. For those of you who are a first time viewer this evening, my name is Scott Reich. I'm a practicing criminal defense attorney and I've been doing this now going on 26 years. I can't believe it. I saw somebody the other day in court and we were talking about how it seems like yesterday we were the new young kids on the block and now we're the old guys, where all the people in charge or the judges used to be our contemporaries. So it's goes by so fast. I mean, I literally can remember, starting my career as a judge advocate in the Marine Corps, and then starting my own practice and just thinking, what the hell am I doing? Hanging out my shingle. But I just knew I didn't want to, I wanted to be my own boss. And I promised my wife at the time, give me 3 months. If I can't make it in 3 months, be able to basically support a wife and 2 kids, I will go get a job. And well, 21 years later in private practice, we're still going on for sure. So that's great. So anyway, tonight is your night. Tonight is here to answer questions that you may have of me about a case, criminal law, procedure, or just about anything. Please put it in the comment sections and we will answer your question this evening. We'll do our best. And then make sure you be nice to our moderators. They're moderators, they're just trying to do their best. And I don't think we have the issues that we used to have where people would just get mean and nasty with each other. And let's face it, we all can agree to disagree. Some people may have different theories about a case or what have you, but it doesn't mean that you have to get nasty with them at all in any way. So be nice to the mods. Usually it's not an issue. It really isn't. We'll just have to, we'll see how the comments go. So I think the next big case is going to be this Larry Milliet, however you pronounce his name. We'll have to wait till he's actually in court. And then, the wife's body, as I understand it, has not been recovered or located, but they've arrested him. So there must be something that they have, some evidence that the police can say that he, that they're convinced that they're dead, and they have to be able to prove that he did it. Because apparently Larry's story was she just left and she had apparently contacted a divorce attorney where apparently Larry didn't like it. So, and then you got May, I guess it's spelled Maya, so it's a silent A. She's a mother that lives in Chula Vista, the mother of 3 who was last seen alive at the start of last year. Anyway, Larry was taken into custody for the killing. The Chula Vista Police Department is announcing the arrest of Larry Milliet for the murder of his wife, May. And the first inkling that may be a major development in the case. Yeah, it's usually a pretty significant inkling that there's something going on when the SWAT team arrives at your house and kicks in the door and arrests you. I think that's a pretty good sign. There's a break in the case when she'd been gone since January, and nobody has a good explanation as to where they went. And apparently a family member said, if anything happens to me, look to Larry. You never know. The police apparently have executed 67 search warrants, 87 interviews, and they've investigated 130 tips in that particular case. You just don't, you don't know. I mean, not that I'm saying, people should not kill their spouse. Let's just put that out there right away. Please do not kill your spouse. If you don't like your spouse, if you're upset with your spouse, there are other things you can do. You can take a walk around the block. You could write down the thoughts that you don't like. Okay. You could even have a nice conversation, maybe even raise your voice if you're really upset, frustrated, but don't harm anybody. Don't touch anybody. Don't kill anybody. And that's right. That's right, Jen Lowe. Get a divorce. Absolutely. Just get a divorce. Like, really? I don't get it. And, Pauline says, well, these criminals have no impulse control. And there is a certain amount of truth to that statement. There's no doubt. I have had clients over the years that, for lack of a better term, they're just not wired correctly. Okay. They literally have no impulse control. If they want to, they see you and they like, I want your shoes. You're going to give them their shoes, or they'll do something stupid. If they need money, they're going to go rob somebody and not think of the consequences. And so you never know. Yeah, murder is much easier than a complicated divorce. It's kind of Sally, but a divorce, you're usually talking about money, right? You can always go make more money. The kids, you'll probably get to see them, maybe not as much as you wanted, but hey, I knew a divorced woman that said the best thing about divorce was every other week, right? And I'm sure she was talking about she got her kids every other week, not the time off every other week, I'm sure. But, it's money, right? You can always go make more money. What kind of person is like, if I can't have you, nobody will. I'm in a jealous rage. I have to kill you, not because no one else. If I can't have you, you have to die. I mean, what? I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't get it. Melissa says apparently they have a recording of gunshots on the security system. Well, maybe it's not looking good for old Larry. You just never know. Obviously, we're going to give him the presumption of innocence. But, it's, and I'm not trying to say anybody's doing it, but when you live with your spouse, and your spouse just suddenly disappears. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but you're going to be a person of interest, right? Let's use a little bit of common sense here, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to be a person of interest. And so you don't do it. That's the best thing I can say. As a defense attorney, I'm telling you, just don't do it. Take a walk around the block, get a divorce. You'll thank me. Because, you're going to spend a lot of money, or maybe you're not going to spend a lot of money on attorneys. But the reality of it is you'll never, ever get your freedom back. That's it. Let's see here. In California, you cannot kill yourself and hide your own body. So no body can be submitted as circumstantial evidence. Understand. Yeah. And if you think your wife left you, I'm just going to go on a limb here. If you think your wife left you, Larry, my guess is, one, she wasn't going to leave the kids. Two, even if she left the kids, she'd probably let you know, because you'd probably like to occasionally see the kids. There'd be some indication, but it's the classic situation where, oh, her credit card hasn't been used. She left her car here. She just walked away with the clothes on her back. That's what she did. Now, I'm sure there's somebody that's done that in divorce. I get it. But for the most part, they usually come back for something. Christy wants to know, have you heard anything regarding selection in the Markeith Lloyd or the McMichaels trial? Haven't been following the Lloyd trial. Been kind of trying to see if there's some information about the McMichaels trial as it relates to Ahmaud Arbery. And the only thing I can see is that things were going slow. I think I was talking to Julie, and she said one of the questions that there was objection about was whether somebody thought that the Confederate flag should have been removed from, I think, the license plates or the state flag years ago. I mean, that's a pretty good question, is it not? I would say so. One of my favorite voir dire questions is, and you can learn more about anybody in a jury selection by asking one simple question. Well, I guess it's really two, compound question. First, do you have any bumper stickers on your car? Second, what are they? And usually, if people put bumper stickers on their car, they feel pretty passionate about something. And you can get a pretty good sense of where they stand as it relates to a lot of their philosophies and things like that. So, good little question. They probably could have got around that question without objection, had they simply asked, what kind of bumper stickers do you have in your car? But yeah, we'll see. So I tried to watch jury selection with McMichaels, but they didn't show much of it. Okay, so I'm not. Yeah, jury selection. I mean, the judges try to protect the privacy of the potential jurors. It's it's not great watching for TV. During the Derek Chauvin trial, they had the jury selection was telecast, which I thought was great. I love voir dire. I think it is the most single important part of the trial. If you get the right jurors, you've won before you start. You get the wrong jurors, it's over before you started. And sometimes you don't know. I mean, the classic situation in voir dire is the prosecution wants to find people that are sympathetic to the defense. The defense wants to find people and get rid of them that are sympathetic to the prosecution. And if everybody succeeds, you get the perfect jury pool, the pool of people that basically don't have an opinion, haven't formed an opinion, but apparently are willing to listen to the evidence, reserve judgment, and then follow the court's instruction. There you go. You got a qualified juror right there, right? And I think I've only been called for jury duty once in my entire life. I would love to be called for jury duty again. I would love to sit on a jury. I will clear my calendar. I will tell every court appearance that I have, can't do it, got jury duty. I think it would be the greatest thing ever. I do not believe, I used to have a law professor in school that said, a jury is made up of 12 people, good and true, otherwise unemployable. Usually meaning that they're a bunch of college students or they're a bunch of retired people, because those are the people that aren't employed. They can take time off. But, most trials don't last more than a week. A good homicide trial, it's a week-long phase, right? From start to finish. Figure 5 days. Maybe it rolls into 2 weeks, but guess what? Most people will make accommodations. They get it. This is their civic obligation. And for all the trials out there that start in the courthouse, not just the ones that make it to the TV, it could not happen without the jurors showing up voluntarily to the summons to appear. Yes, I guess, you could be held in contempt if you didn't show up. However, that, it's not a really good move for the courts to throw people in jail for not, complying with their jury summons. We want people to be there because they want to be there. Like, I ask jurors all the time, who doesn't want to be here? Right. And you'll see a couple of hands pop up. Okay, tell me why. Then I ask, who wants to be here? Well, this is really exciting. I love this stuff. This is fascinating. I really want to be a part of the whole process. All right, great. I want those jurors that are excited to be there. Who wouldn't? And I was having a conversation with a judge the other day, and we were talking about the whole, jury selection process. And I was explaining that, I think it's the most important part. And this judge had been a judge and kind of moved up and was going to have to do more serious cases. And I was just saying, hey, Judge, here we are informally, let's chat. He said, don't call me Judge or Your Honor. I'm like, okay, you can call me Scott. And we're just sitting there chatting. And, it's like, it's the most important part. But I also said, I've never spoken with jurors who hated jury service. They absolutely loved it. Now, every now and then there's going to be delays because things come up at a trial. But for the most part, the attorneys and the judges are working pretty much every time the jurors are off on a break as quickly as they can, but yet still trying to do it correctly to make sure that there are as few delays as possible for the jury. Okay, it was a good question, and then I hit my screen and it disappeared. But I wanted to identify who said it. Yeah, Cassandra, I would love to be on a jury in a serious case. Yeah, I mean, you have to be prepared. I've talked to jurors who have literally said, and I've seen it offered, where jurors are offered counseling, particularly in a gory, gruesome homicide case. I did one, it was several years ago, but it was pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty bad crime scene, multiple homicide, sex assault, attempted murder. One person lived, but it was just a bad case. I mean, bloody old mess. And they have counselors that can come in because literally people will have PTSD from sitting on juries because, they never show you that stuff on TV. They don't show it normally, even on, when you see the court, they don't put the exhibits up, but you're seeing an autopsy, right? Some people are like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. Other people are like, oh my God, that's terrifying. Right. You ever seen dead bodies? You ever seen dead bodies at a coroner's? I mean, there's one thing I've decided in my life. Okay. I know when you're dead, your body's just there, but there's one thing. I make one request. Please do not let them do an autopsy on me. Okay. I know I'm dead, but if they were going to do one, and sometimes they have to, but I assure you, I am be lodging my objection. The stuff that they do at an autopsy, I'm telling you, I mean, it's like it's like you're at Home Depot or something, with all the saws and it's just, I just don't want to do it. And they take all the parts out and they weigh it and they slice and dice it for future samples. I mean, it's fascinating. A lot of respect for, the doctors, the pathologists that do that stuff. But I just don't want to be cut open, parts removed, put back in. Like if I die, if you can take organs and things like that, take them, please. But don't do the whole autopsy thing. Like, I'm dead. Does it really matter? So anyway, and I know it is, but if you've never seen one, how they put you back together again, it's like putting the big turkey back together. You take all the guts out and you sew it back up. Yeah. Somebody had a question. Robert, should William Roddy Bryan be charged with murder? Well, he's really charged under the theory of complicity. I mean, but he did aid The McMichaels, when they were chasing down Ahmaud Arbery. And, we'll see if the prosecutors made the correct choice. Roddy Bryant, this guy, I don't know what he was thinking. And I get it. He had this homemade video that he, made of the whole process. But as Ahmaud Arbery was running down one of the streets and the McMichaels were chasing him, he was kind of going around the other block trying to block people in. I mean, how is that not a complicitor in some way? And then he has the audacity to videotape it. And then at some point gives it to his attorney, who I'm assuming Roddy Bryant gave permission for the attorney to release it to the news station. They put it up on their website. And next thing you know, the guy's getting charged with murder. And so are the father and son team there. And first time I saw that video, I was like, did this Brian guy really think that this video was going to help him in any way? Like, I don't know who his attorney was, but he should have said, that is a very, very interesting video. You should not destroy that, but you should not show that to anyone ever again, because it shows basically you all chasing Ahmaud Arbery down, whereupon he is killed. And so, yeah, it was not a good thing at all. Scott, would they let you serve on a jury? Yes. If I ever got called again, jury commissioner in Denver, please, I'm ready. I mean, come on, I'm ready to go. I have seen more judges serve on juries, right? They get called as a regular citizen and they go do their jury service. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And the cases where I think this is interesting, the cases where have been aware of judges sitting on juries, they've found the defendant in each one of those cases not guilty. I think that's rather interesting. And, because I remember once I was standing in front in line and like, oh, there's a federal judge standing right here. Your Honor, how are you? I'm doing good, Mr. Reich. Now, how are you? I'm doing well. Your Honor, what brings you to the courthouse today? I got selected for jury duty. Well, that's great, Your Honor. And if you can't trust a judge to be fair and impartial, who can you trust, right? That we were all, but let's see here. Just kind of like, I want to do it. Yeah, Samara, I want to do it, but when I got the request in the mail, I already moved states. Yeah, you got to live and reside in the jurisdiction in which you can only do jury service if you reside in the county in which the jury has been summoned. You've received a summons to appear. My work will pay up to 1 week, I think, for jury duty. I really want to serve. Yeah. I mean, and most employers do. I mean, I don't think one of our attorneys had to go to jury duty just a couple of weeks ago. And I think she was there most of the day and then didn't ultimately get selected. But, I encourage that. I would be hypocritical of me and say, no, you can't be on jury duty. That's how we make our living here. We rely on juries, people to do the right thing, their civic duty. That would be great. Kat, judges have to enforce the law, so would be probably good jurors. Yes and no. Good question or good statement though, Kat. Yes and no. Obviously in most states you have a right to a jury trial, but you can also go judge alone. But you don't, right? And I've won trials to the court. Usually it was a smaller case where the person didn't pay a jury fee. Sometimes you have to pay a jury fee to perfect that. And you're like, okay, fine, I got a judge. Oh, geez. What? From the defense perspective, prosecutors love trials to the court because they take 20 minutes versus 3 days, right? Just because there's not as many moving parts. And, usually, the judge was a former prosecutor. I was going to find you guilty, but if you have maybe a technical argument, and I don't really buy that. My position is, hey, the government wants to convict my client. I want as many jurors as possible, and those individuals can, decide my client's fate. Bottom line. Megan Graves. I watched the Casey Anthony case, and the evidence was weak. Yeah, and and that's something that I've noticed. And then we have Wally Sherman. Thoughts on the Larry Millette, however you pronounce his name. We just talked about that, but it's going to be interesting. But it's never a good philosophy, to have your wife disappear, and apparently they have some evidence. We'll have to wait and see. Like everything in life, we'll give the presumption of innocence. It did take them 9 months to come up with something, kind of like old Barry Morphew. Took him 12 months. At least Barry got a little more creative. He was at least out of town when his wife allegedly disappeared. So, you just never know. That stuff never, ever works out. Another thing that also doesn't work very well is when you take your wife, your spouse, hiking, and they just happen to slip off, that ledge. Scuba diving is another popular way for a spouse to die. Usually doesn't work out, usually takes some time, but those are some other popular ways where people have tried and failed miserably to get rid of their spouse. Like, just divorce them, right? Listen, let's face it. When everyone gets married, they hope that this is the one. It's going to last forever. And you hope it does, right? And I'm, I am divorced. After 24 years of marriage, I got divorced. The kids were grown. The wife and I were sitting there looking at each other. Who the hell are you? And why do we like each other? And we obviously, didn't. But you went your separate ways. And don't get me wrong, it was expensive. But worth it. Okay. Certainly wouldn't have, wish her any harm upon her. It's like, geez, oh, you guys are going to get a divorce and suddenly your wife disappears. Ooh, I wonder who could have done it. Yeah. So just don't do it. Just don't do it, ladies. Don't do it, men. Just get a divorce. It's expensive, but hey, what do most people have? Most people don't have anything anyway. You divide up the debt, sell the assets, divide up the debt, and send everybody on their way. But the reality of it is, just don't do it. Okay, just get a divorce. Let's see here. You can usually guess the question being asked. I served 10 times during my life, and every time I could guess the case subject. Yeah, you gotta somebody smuba, SMUBA, scuba. I love that. I'm telling you, Trish Norman, divorce, but no insurance dollars. Yeah. Yeah. And when you marry young, you just get married and you're like, well, I don't have anything. And then it kind of seems like all the stuff that you built, somebody else wants, but that's it. I just, think it's funny, the stuff that my ex, not to get to it, but, absolutely hated, despised. Why would you waste that time on that investment? Blah, blah, blah. But then when it came to the divorce, like, well, where's my portion of that? I'm like, really? I thought you hated that. Really? I think you can have the airplane and the Porsche. And not to get too deep, but at the time I had it was a Porsche, a little Porsche. It wasn't even fancy, but it was my little Porsche, right? And it was gorgeous. I think I got it. It was used, but it had, I think, 2,500 miles new. And like 5 years later, it had maybe 7,500 miles. I would literally drive that car and I would wash it. That's how much I love that car. And my ex-wife knew that. And during the divorce, she didn't want to keep her car because there was a payment on it. She wanted the paid off car, the Porsche. But you know what I did? I said, fine, you can have it. Dropped it off on a snowy day. Those big tires. I think it had snowed. I don't think she could get it into the driveway. And said, here's your car. Here's your car. And I left. And you know what I did? Less than a year later, I got a better one. And the moral of that story is, you don't want to harm anybody, even if they're taking your Porsche. Okay. Not to sound arrogant, but if they're taking your car that you love, right? You can make more money. You can always get another one. Bottom line. Stephanie here in a super chat. Does anyone know if Maggie and her son had life insurance policies on them in the Murdaugh case as a financial motive for Alex? Great question, Stephanie. As I understand it, I think that there was a policy on the wife, Maggie, but not on the son. Now, it's been a while since I've looked at that, so don't hold me to that. But if you want to talk about the Murdaugh case, which I think is absolutely fascinating, and it's not just because I used to live in that part of South Carolina when I was stationed there in the military, and I love the area. I love the area. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the people. And it is the most fascinating case, I think, going on, because this you couldn't make this stuff up. You got a guy who, for lack of a better term, silver spoon in his mouth, white privilege, you name it, whatever the words you want to say. This guy had it all. They had a monopoly on just about every civil and criminal case that was filed. They knew all the players. I mean, these guys are set for life. And yet this guy in one generation screws it all up, right? What do they say? It's the first generation that makes it. The second generation tries to keep it, and the third blows it all because they didn't have to work for it, right? Alex Murdaugh probably had every door open for him, never had to work, every opportunity come his way, and then all of a sudden things start falling apart, and he just thinks that he can manipulate his way around. Now the question becomes, is this something he learned on his own, or is this something that the old family learned? And I don't, the housekeeper, I mean, let's get real, people. I don't know what he did to get, I believe it was Lloyd's of London, that was the insurance company, to pay $4.5 million for a wrongful death suit. Okay. That's crazy. Insurance companies don't pay that kind of money. And I'm going to speak frankly here. The insurance companies are not going to pay that much for an older adult with a lot less earning capacity. That's just not the way insurance companies think, right? Insurance companies think like they teach you in law school. Like if you're going to hit somebody, run somebody over with your car, and they die, you hope you run over the homeless guy who's been a drunk all his life, hasn't had a job, probably not going to make any money in the future, right? And let's face it, insurance companies look at it, they go to a little table and say, your guy's life was worth no more than $100,000. Now, I'm not joking here, people. This is the way they do it. That's why I've always said insurance companies are horrible, horrible human beings. The ones that run it are horrible human beings. Some nice people that work there. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to, some very nice adjusters. They've been very fair over the years. But the reality of it is insurance companies do it. They don't give away $1 million unless they absolutely have to, unless they think, oh my God, we're on the hook for more money. But for insurance company, $4.5 million for a woman, I think was in her late to, was it 54? I thought she was older than that. I thought she was like 60 something. Anyway, I mean, I hate to say it, but how much was she making as a housekeeper on a weekly basis? I mean, was she full-time? Was she making $1,000, $2,000. Okay, she's going to work for another 20 years. I mean, we're not talking huge money here. So $4.5 million. It's going to be very interesting to see the scam that old Alex Murdaugh allegedly did to this insurance company. But he was certainly conning everybody else. And I don't know if his law school or his college buddy, college roommate, who was the lawyer that represented the brothers regarding the estate, if he was in on it or if he got duped as well. Yeah, I just don't know. But bringing this back around to Stephanie's question, the police have got to be looking at Alex Murdaugh. At first, I think the theory was that he's, everyone's being looked at, but there was nothing really that we had on Alex Murdaugh as being the police, because he was, being a great guy. He was at home taking care of his ailing mother, right? And so he wasn't there. Somebody getting rid of their spouse and not home. Taking care of the kid. I mean, I don't know Alex Murdaugh, and I'm not saying that he committed murder. I mean, he had somebody try to kill him for the insurance money. At least maybe an honorable thing was he was trying to protect his son, but it was all a complete scam, and it's insurance fraud when you do that. And this guy apparently was so deep into it. I mean, he got $4.5 million on this insurance settlement, and it's gone, which meant he was still stealing money from his law firm, and apparently was in such a bad place that Maggie Murdaugh was basically saying, what the hell is going on? Why do we have no money? I want an audit of our financial situation. And then, that's kind of like saying I want a divorce, isn't it? Because then it'd be really expensive. And old Alex Murdaugh could have said, hey, you can't get blood from a turnip, right? It's going to be interesting. And we mentioned it today. It's really, it's the son that I feel bad about. He's lost his mother. He's lost his brother. And for all intents and purposes, he's lost his dad too. I don't know if they're communicating, but are they really going to talk? Hey, Dad, what's new? Anything new going on? Anything I should know about? Anything I shouldn't talk about? Oh, did you kill Mom and my brother, Paul and Maggie? Oh, did you kill my brother, Paul? Right? That is going to be a weird conversation. And then more importantly, how's he paying the attorneys now? My guess is he'll probably have the public defender soon, because my guess is that these attorneys now were probably, he had a few bucks laying around with their old friends and they're just trying to help him out. But once if there's going to be a murder charge, if there's a murder charge, I can just tell you this right now. And if there's a trial as it relates to the death of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, we are going there. Okay. CrimeTalk staff, Frank, Julie, the lovely Miss Kristen, understand we are going for the trial. We are going to be there. It just fascinates me. These type of these cases. And then I had another interesting conversation today, and I should get Rob in here one of these. He's one of my attorneys that works for me. Super smart guy, and we were talking about it, but I want to answer a couple of these questions. Michelle said, I'm married to a former federal state judge, and he is the most process-driven human I've ever met. Very fair and logical. It's ensuring to know these guys exist, but maddening to live with sometimes. Yes. A 25-year-old truck. He's had something new to it every year. Let's see. Mr. Scott had to pay a lot to his ex-wife. My problem was my mother decided I have to live with her. Success is the best revenge. Yeah. You know what? It was nice. I love that car. I really did. And she didn't. And apparently she's, as I understand it. And one of the things is when you get divorced, when your kids are in college, you don't really have to speak to them. It's not like you're swapping children. It's wonderful. Wonderful. Let's see. Isn't Winnie going to? Yes. We will have to take Miss Winnie. Now, for those of you who don't know, Miss Winnie the Bulldog, and we're having some technical issues, so we could put up a Miss Winnie the Bulldog photo. But thanks to our CrimeTalk staff, Julie, she has made an Instagram and a TikTok for Miss Winnie the Bulldog. Miss Winnie the Bulldog was a COVID dog for the lovely Miss Kristen, TLMK. And I thought it was kind of going to be my dog at first, but clearly that's not happened. It is clearly the lovely Miss Kristen's bulldog, such to the point, because she's been working from home and I haven't, that I can't even get the dog to go for a walk anymore unless the lovely Miss Kristen comes with us. She will go outside. She will do what she needs to do first thing in the morning and late at night, and then she'll stop. And you literally will, to get her to move, she doesn't do it because she's she's got to be 70 pounds by now. Cutest, most lovable bulldog. Maybe doesn't know her full strength at all times or full weight because she can get going. But yeah, she's cute as a bug. And yes, she would go too. Judy, will there ever be justice for the poor girl that drowned? Sorry, I do not know. That's true. I'm 62, though. My daughters were kidding around when she said, marry a guy in death row with a huge life insurance policy. Who needs a Porsche when you have a plane? Carrie, let me explain something. Okay. There is nothing other than maybe the lovely Miss Kristen more beautiful than a Porsche automobile. They're just absolute gorgeous machines. They really are. I love it. And yes, they're completely useless. You can barely put any luggage in the front. You can only hold two people. You can't even put a bulldog in there. It's too uncomfortable, right? No luggage, absolutely useless. There is only one purpose to having a sports car like that, and that is to go fast, okay? That is the only reason, to go fast. Did anybody ever see that movie, Ford versus Ferrari? And at the beginning, he's talking about, their cars going through. Here's something popped up. I'm going to take a look at this. And it's like, 7,000 RPMs. You're at that point, like, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like flying, like when you're taking off, when you're landing. It's like, it doesn't matter what else is going on. You just got to focus on this one thing. Yeah. Porsche, one purpose. Go fast. And I had to go you can't even get a Porsche these days. Like everything else. I went down to the dealership the other day to get a tire fixed. I've had the worst luck with tires lately. And I hadn't been down there in a while, and I figured, I'm going to go look around at their little showroom. They used to have this little showroom of like older used Porsches that people had traded in, but they were usually in immaculate condition. It looked like a museum and just beautiful designs. I mean, who wouldn't love like a Porsche from the 50s? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I go, I'm like, where are all the cars? They're like, yeah, we have 3 used ones here. 3. And they were going to get 27. They were going to get 30 in the next couple of days for their month quota that they had. And 27 were already sold. And that's the way it is with cars too. If only Miss Winnie knew that 1,000 people, if the housekeeper's worth 450 million, what could the wife be worth? Yeah. Well, it was 4.5 million. 911 twin turbo. Yeah. Beautiful. A couple $100,000, really expensive. Porsche, waste of money unless you own tons of paved strip to drive it on, or the Autobahn. I can't disagree with you. You really got to be careful where you open it up though, because there's police out there. Now, hold on one second. I want to look at something. I saw something come in here because, well, people never rest here that work on CrimeTalk. But apparently, Barry Morphew's attorneys are up to Legal paper sent this week. Oh, it's going to block me out. Legal paper sent this week alleged prosecutors purposely kept the identity of a sex offender tied to evidence in the Chaffee County killing from murder suspect Barry Morphew's defense team. The move comes after a lengthy evidence hearing led to a judge ruling Morphew should stand trial in the death of his wife, Suzanne Morphew, who was reported missing on Mother's Day of 2020. The attorneys allege deputies and prosecutors withheld the identity of a person tied to DNA found on the glove box of Suzanne Morphew's Range Rover. A national database of DNA samples taken from inmates showed the DNA was linked to a sex offender who now lives in Arizona, according to the notice of intent to sue filed by the law firm of Fisher Brinsley, based out of Denver and New York City. The documents contend law enforcement and prosecutors could face civil liability for defamation and false arrest under the new Colorado law that in some case lifts legal shields to protect police from lawsuits. A former prosecutor, Bob Grant, called the legal move unusual, but it could grow more common as a tool to punish alleged police misconduct. I think we'll see more of this. Now, in the notice, Morphew listed 26 investigators he intends to sue, both their individual and official capacities. The list includes the Chaffee County Sheriff, Joe Speasy, District Attorney Linda Stanley, and agents from the FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation. The documents contend police didn't chase the DNA leads and looks for other killers before focusing on Morphew. Stanley and Speasy declined to comment. Civil attorneys say investigators knew that the man's identity as early as August 2nd, a week before the evidence hearing in the murder case, and the 10-page document says prosecutors waited until Morphew was ordered to trial before they released it to his defense team. In doing so, Morphew's attorney contend prosecutors conspired to commit a fraud upon the court by withholding exculpatory evidence. The DNA did not come up during Morphew's August evidence hearing. Colorado Bureau Investigation agent Joe Cahill told Morphew's attorney Iris Itan that the DNA on the glove box is a partial profile. Wow. Now, isn't that rather interesting? But you know what is even more interesting, ladies and gentlemen? Well, first, when a public employee gets notice that there's an intent that they are going to be sued, that gets their attention. Let's not be shy about that. That's going to get their attention for sure. Okay. But what happened just the other day? Remember, the lead prosecutor resigned from the office? Ooh. Could they be related, or is it just a mere coincidence? A lot of coincidences don't necessarily happen like that. And, the prosecutors have a duty, an obligation to turn over all exculpatory evidence. Now, it's only notice of intent to sue, but it doesn't say that they're going to the Barry Morphew's attorneys are not going to sue these individuals. They have to provide notice that basically says, hey, public officials, I'm giving you notice that we're going to sue you. And so you better save all those documents, gives everybody notice so that the people being sued can save all their documents. But people don't like that. And they changed the law here in Colorado where basically there was no harm, no foul if prosecutors, police screwed up. But if you can actually show that they did something intentionally, that they didn't turn it over or they delayed turning it over, then, that's a problem. I thought something was odd when the lead prosecutor, the most experienced prosecutor, not the elected DA, but the most experienced prosecutor in the office, and on that case bails. It's like the biggest case of his life, right? And you're going to leave to go to Pueblo to do cases? Not good. I don't know. Boy, that's going to get very, very interesting. And I told you, this is a different firm that was handling it, but I'm sure they're working in conjunction with the defense lawyers on this particular case. But somebody has a good faith basis to send those notices out. And what better way for the prosecutors to take a look at and say, wow, did we do something wrong? Or does that make the prosecutors just want to dig in deeper? I don't know. And I'm telling you, I don't know Barry Morphew. I don't know him from Adam. I mean, frankly, he doesn't look like a guy I'd probably hang out with. He looks like one of those guys that likes to, be a gym rat and, wears his, what are those jeans that they were all the bedazzled jeans, from 20 years ago or whatever it was. He just looks like that guy with his tight fitting t-shirt and, I just didn't think it was a strong case. And even Julie, who went down and watched the preliminary hearing, came back saying, please tell me there's something more. So I don't know. Let's see here. I'm not sure what this is. Why can't they find who killed these people? Oh my God, no, that sucks. Did he lose vision of flying on fog, meaning he had to be an instrument certified flyer, ever fly at night, or fog in your instruments only? You were not looking out the front. Not sure what that was referring to. Melissa Downer, ugh, stupid internet is out every time. I can't move save live streams so I don't miss it. Like to stand around and kill your textbook, no necker. Oh yeah, okay, him. Samantha, written the laws need to catch up to technology. So he wears affliction t-shirts. Yes, I think affliction t-shirts and is it True Religion jeans? I mark my words, somewhere in his closet, he has a pair of those bedazzled jeans. I'm just saying, right? And hey, Barry, I'm sure you have very fine attorneys, but man, I bet when they found out that you had a girlfriend, they were like, really? Can you just ditch the girlfriend for a little while? That just looks bad. It's just not good at all. Let's see. I think the prosecutors has a pretty weak case. Yeah, I think so twice. Yeah, it's True Religion. Yeah, and parachute pants. So, but that's interesting. That interesting tactical move. Part of me is kind of like, game on. And people don't realize this. If you are going to try to take away somebody's liberty for, the rest of their life, game on. It's war. That's what you're going to do. It's litigation, right? I don't know if anyone's ever been sued. It's not a fun process. Nobody likes to get sued. And, 99.9% of the time, you're just like, what a bunch of horse crap this is. How can this crap go forward? And then you have to realize, well, it's an allegation. It's got to go forward. We got to go through all this stuff. And, but, it makes you, somebody shows up in your front doorstep and they're saying that, oh, we're going to sue you. Here's your notice of intent to sue. Goes to your house. Suddenly your wife looks at you like, what does this mean? Oh, just that we could lose everything. Well, suddenly, and if 27 people are getting sued and there's somebody that was kind of on the edge, like, yeah, we shouldn't have done it. Somebody pressured me. They're going to crack, and they're going to crack now. I bet as things develop, the lead prosecutor that just left, the question's going to be kind of, what did he know and when did he know it? Or was he the one saying, I'm not going to be a part of you all withholding exculpatory evidence? I don't know. Anyway. Rebecca, I wish you could hit twice. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, thanks everybody. I appreciate everybody watching. I mean, seriously, it's weird. It jumps up. It's first, the one point said we had like only 1,000 people. Then it was down to 650 or something like that. It's jumped around this evening, but it looks like a lot of people left before the breaking Barry Morphew news. I'm telling you, that case is going to be, well, I think that case, who knows what's going to happen with that case, but I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, from a defense attorney's perspective, there is nothing better for a defense case if you can show that kind of what that these cops looked at Barry Morphew, believed he was the Barry Morphew, he believed he was responsible for her death, and built a case around convicting Barry Morphew, not looking where the leads take you, wherever they may go. So if you have a guy who's a registered sex offender, who's been to prison, and there is DNA on the glove box in Suzanne Morphew's Range Rover. I mean, I remember there was something about that they found some unidentified, who knows? Maybe the guy was working at a car wash or something, and that's how it explains it. Maybe there's something, but you have to go talk with that guy, right? Where were you? Oh, you just happened to be in Chaffee County. Interesting. Where'd they release you from when you got out of prison? Oh, all the prisons just down the road. Oh, okay. Because that's what we do here in Colorado. We put them out on the Eastern Plains, Western Slope, smaller towns, donated years ago to get those jobs and stuff there, thinking it was going to be good stuff. But you find out a lot of people stay. They like it so much, they stay. Oh, Canyon City is a wonderful place. I think I'll stay in Canyon City. Yeah. Okay, little digression here. Maryland, the electric Porsche Taycan is outselling 911, the gas model, and the Tesla Model S. Okay. And let me just say something about Teslas. Can I? Okay. Elon Musk will probably hate me. I've ridden in a Tesla. Nah. Okay. Yeah. I know they're super fast and they can beat anything down the quarter mile, whatever. Right. And my position is when an electric car can be refueled, regassed in the same amount of time it takes me to fill up my gas tank, then I'll get interested. Bottom line. And I could see why the Porsche model, the electric one, is outselling because it looks cool. I mean, the Tesla, it looks like just about every other car on the road, right? They all look the same. Whether you're driving a Honda, you're driving a BMW, a Chrysler, they all look the same. All the sedans look the same. There's nothing unique about it. But I get it. It's got to be practical. They're selling a ton of them. Elon's the richest guy in the world. Yeah. But what I'm holding out for is I put my name in to go to space with Jeff Bezos's company. What is it? Blue Origin. You can sign up if you go to the website and you say, I want to go. And we were somewhere, I think it was in Arizona, and they said, we're calling a schedule. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to get my interview. I'm going to go to space. And they never called. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, my God, to space. After that, be like, okay, we're done. We're done. All right. Let's see. Candy from Eastern Idaho. Welcome. I agree. The Teslas are pretty ugly. Yeah, they are. And I mean, I hate to say it. I get it. They're nice. But it's a golf cart, right? It's a golf cart. It really is. And I know it's a nice golf cart. It can go really fast. But I will race your golf cart versus my car. Let's see who can go the longest. Let's see who can gas up the fastest and move along. Okay. Just saying. And maybe someday I'll eat my words. Yeah. Donna Lane, $4.29 in California. I filled up the other day, $61 to fill up my tank. And I put the cheap stuff in. I think it was $4.04 a gallon, something like that here in Colorado. XX ignored again. Did I miss Karen's? You want to be a space cadet, Scott? Francis Martin. I would think it would just be cool to go to space. I mean, I want to fly in a fighter jet. I want to fly. I told my son to get me, see if he can get me a ride in an F-16. Every time I talk to him, I ask him, "How's it going?" All right, I'm looking for XX's comment. Sorry, didn't see it. Said ignored again. Let's see. Sorry. Sometimes, these go by pretty quick and we don't ask for them, but when you put them in a super chat, bam, it comes up on the screen right there and it just stays there until you do it. Okay. XX Scott, do you think that the discovery drop by Arizona police will help or hinder the prosecution of Daybell? I actually believe that it will help. Now, will it all be relevant in the sense that it's, we're going to have another trial as to everything that went on there in Arizona? No, but I think that the prosecutor can bring some of that information in, particularly to rebut any inference that, let's say, for example, that Chad Daybell, didn't want Tammy to die. We were in love. Oh, really? But you're out hanging out with your, your new girlfriend, right? She's rocking his world. He's just doing everything. She's doing everything for him. They're both, they're having a time in their life. They just got to get rid of all these troublemakers around them. So I think that there's going to be a way for some of that to come in. It's certainly going to be great impeachment evidence if, for example, Chad Daybell were to take the stand and say, I didn't know. She tricked me. Oh, really? Did she trick you when you used a false name, calling the mortuary as Che Dayball or something? I think, it happened, right? I mean, so yeah, I think XX, good question. I think some of it will help the prosecution because it really kind of goes to some consciousness of guilt, but it still has to be relevant, right? We've talked about this before. You have to be able to show that it's relevant. What element does it go to prove or disprove the charges that, on or about date and place charge, Chad Daybell conspired with, these individuals to, kill JJ and Ty Lee. You don't want to get too sidetracked as a prosecutor. Okay. And this is what some prosecutors forget is don't overtry your case, man. They overtry their case. They put on stuff. They create doubt. I have won trials where if prosecutors had called one witness and said, that's the bad man right there, but they think they got to call everybody and, just lay it out there, so to speak, when in reality, keep it simple. Less is more. I tell that to my clients all the time. Less is more. And, that's what prosecutors forget. I had a case once, if they had just come in and said, that's the bad man that started the fight. He's right there, right? It was like quinceañera. And they kept calling more and more people. And by the time we got to closing arguments, even the prosecutor gets up and says, we may not know exactly who did what, but we think you should find him guilty because, well, we have a couple people that says he threw the first punch or whatever, right? And I remember the judge, she was an older judge. She just kind of looked at me and, and I got up and said very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, if the prosecution doesn't know what happened, how do they expect you to know what happened? Ladies and gentlemen, that's reasonable doubt. Whereupon my client was promptly found not guilty. And one of the jurors came up and asked me for my business card because they had a family member in trouble. So less is more. It really is sometimes. Let's see here. The Idaho prosecutors didn't necessarily have all that info from Arizona already. I assume it was only new to the public. My understanding is the prosecutors did, in fact, have it, and they turned it over to the both defense teams for Vallow and Daybell early on. It was only released to the public quite recently, and you can go. I think we've set up an actual, what do we call it, on YouTube, where it's just all the stuff set aside there for, it's all the videos from the Chandler, Arizona, what do they call playlist. And so you can listen to that stuff. I mean, the family, Lori Vallow's brother is like warning, like, yeah, something's not right. I mean, so many mental health issues stuff that looking back, yeah, it's easy to say hindsight is 2020, but what does a crazy person look like? You don't always know. I'm telling you, you don't always know. I talked about, what does crazy look like? Well, most people think crazy looks like the guy that's homeless, dirty, living around the streets, talking to himself on the street corner. I'm telling you, there are a lot of crazy people out there. There are a lot of crazy people that look normal, and I don't know if I've ever told this story, but there's people that literally think that people are listening through their TVs and radios. And I mean, they hire private investigators to sweep their house and buy all this stuff. So yeah, it is just crazy. I mean, there are lots of crazy people out there. I mean, and you just don't know. Crazy does not always look like the homeless lady pushing her shopping cart, talking to herself all day. It's absolutely, it's mental disease takes so many shapes and forms. I mean, you just don't know. And until you know it, I mean, yes, I did see the thing, Journey of Justice, about him. He was going to break it was unbreakable, and then he broke it. He's like, well, I guess we need to work on that. And don't get me wrong. I mean, seriously, I know he kind of picked on the car because I just think it's kind of ugly and it's kind of a golf cart kind of thing. But you have to admire Elon Musk, $200 billion, richest guy in the world. I mean, you got to admire that guy. Turned $180 million, turned zero into 180 million from PayPal, 180 million into 200 billion. I think I misspoke. I said million, $200 billion, right? Crazy. Now, is it real cash? Can he go touch it? Can he, put it in his pocket? No, it's all really in stock value, but really he's, he could go down tomorrow if Tesla goes out of business, right? I mean, if they didn't get all the government subsidies for his solar panels and all the other stuff, but we're not going to go there. But I think Elon Musk he's a cool guy. I mean, I'd like to go to space in his spaceship too. It's pretty cool. Either way, just send me to space. I think it'd be cool. So Elon, we're cool. Just send me to space. All right. Yeah. And, and he's weird. And did you see him? His heroes were like, all the astronauts from the 60s that walked on the moon, and they were like, don't do it. Don't go to space. And I mean, the guy was emotional about it. Yeah. See, Rebecca, that is so true, Scott. I met a very crazy woman, and she literally thought every song on the radio was about her from this guy. And she, like, so weird, looked normal. Absolutely. That's what I'm telling people. People don't, and I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy who, for the last 25, 26 years, has dealt in a area of law where you deal with a lot of people with mental health issues, right? It's just a reality of the business. We had a joke, and I'm sure I'll send somebody. We used to have the Reich Law Firm rules of dating, and I think we actually put them up. But one of them was, first, obviously, if you date somebody, make sure you get, double, triple certified, verified that they're over 18. You want independent sources. Don't trust that state document. Don't trust the parents that somebody's 18. But the other one is check the medicine cabinet, right? And if there's medicine in there for some sort of mental health issues, like, man, you probably need to get a lawyer to bail bondsman, because at some point somebody's going to jail. And I don't mean that to be flippant. It just happens that way. And normally what I've seen is somebody needs the medication. Medication helps them. Medication makes them feel drowsy, dries their mouth out, you name it. They stop taking medication. Suddenly they're back to the problem and somebody goes to jail. Happens quite a bit. So just be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. What does I tell you all the time? Just be careful. All right. We talked about lots of things. We got this new case, Larry Millette, and regarding the death of May, even though her name is spelled Maya. And then we obviously breaking news, Barry Morphew's attorneys have filed a notice of intent to sue basically all the prosecutors, investigators on the case, basically saying they withheld exculpatory information that would decrease any criminal responsibility of Barry Morphew by withholding DNA evidence of a known sex offender's DNA that was on her car in the glove box. Got to admit, from a defense perspective, wow, that's good. And if you can show that there was some weird vendetta, I always thought it was weird. And I go back and look when they were doing the preliminary hearing, those detectives, it was basically, we determined it was him and we were going to build a case. They were over there having dinner with the guy, recording everything that they could, hoping that he would say something wrong that they could take out of context. I mean, he literally thought these guys were his friend, and then it looked like, they were just there to try to get him to say whatever, right? To confess, so to speak. And they built a case. I think they pulled the trigger too early. And if you can show bad faith by the police, an alternate suspect that they didn't pursue because they decided who was guilty instead of taking the evidence where it needs to go. The prosecutors, I don't know. You better get a pretty experienced one in there, because one just resigned. The chief one just resigned, so you gotta do that. Jude Fletcher, super chat. If Elon wants to impress me, forget about space. Go to the bottom of the ocean. That's true. Bottom of the ocean would be pretty cool too. I mean, they've gone pretty far down, but I don't think they've gone as deep as they can go into some of those crevices down there. Good question. Good statement, June. I totally get it. All right. Okay, well, we went a little long tonight, and the reason why we're going to go a little long tonight was we're not going to be able to do our Patreon show as we had hoped to do, because we got some technical issues. People have been working on it here, but it's just not going to take place. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Thanks for watching Crime Talk. We know you have lots of things. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully I was able to answer your question, if not directly, somehow close to what you were maybe thinking, saying, wow, that was great. Thanks for your time, Scott, live from Phoenix. Well, thanks, Susan. We're going to get back there. I think we're going to spend more time in the Arizona area because lovely Miss Kristen has a child going to college down there. So jump into Crime Talk 1 and go. That's for sure. So what the heck did I just do? I hit something. All right. Anyway, so we're going to call it a night. Big stuff. We'll follow up tomorrow for sure on the Barry Morphew matter. I like the tactics. Of the attorneys. Go after the prosecutors. Wow. That's going to be good. New law has changed. I don't know. I'm looking at a text came in here. All right. Okay. We're going to leave it at that. We're doing this. Like I said, had some technical issues, but we are going to do just fine. And now here we go. Oh, I could have seen that there the whole night. All right. Have a wonderful evening. We will see you next time on Crime Talk.